A Think-Aloud is a technique that teachers can use in the classroom to model and discuss how good readers often reread a sentence, read ahead to clarify, and look for context clues to make sense of what they're reading. Um, Think-Alouds help students learn to monitor their thinking as they read a complex text, which there are many of in the social studies subjects. I'm about to demonstrate this method by reading Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, which he delivered in November of 1863. Um, so, the Gettysburg Address. Why is this a title? Gettysburg must be a place, perhaps where he's giving the speech. Um, so, 7 years ago. What's a score? It sounds like a unit of time measurement, but I'm not sure what. Maybe months. 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty. What does this mean, conceived in liberty? Liberty as in freedom, so founded on freedom. I think that's what he's saying. And dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. So was this a new idea that was unique to our new nation of America? Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. So our strength is being tested. I can see that, but how would you rephrase that sentence to make it easier to read, less wordy? We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives. So a final resting place. Is he on a graveyard? For those who here gave their lives, that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. What does consecrate mean, and what does hallow mean? Based on the context clues I'm getting, I think it means to make holy. The brave men, the living and the dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. Okay, so he's saying the land has already been made holy or consecrated by those who fought here. He cannot make it holy by speaking here because it's already been done. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. So Lincoln's saying that the world is not going to remember this speech, which is ironic because we know that this speech is very famous. Why do you think he thought this? And why do you think he was wrong? Because this is one of the most famous speeches in American history. It is us, for the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion for that cause, to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. We take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. So, we must increase our devotion to the cause that we're fighting for because these men gave their lives for it. We can't just give up. We have to keep fighting in their name, is what he's saying here. Um, Based on what you know about the Civil War, what do you think these soldiers' cause was? They're fighting for Lincoln, remember. Um, okay. We take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. What would result if the Confederacy had won? Do you think that this government of the people, by the people, and for the people would have changed? Do you think it would still be around today? Um, if the Confederacy had won, do you think this speech would still be as famous as it is today? Um, in what context do you think it would be remembered? As a good speech or a bad speech?